Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a tool that could be the one thing standing between you and that grant you've been working on. It's often the reason applications fail before anyone even reads a single word.
Okay, so picture this. You've just hit send on what you think is the perfect grant proposal. I mean, you've poured your heart and soul into the story, the budget is airtight, the need is so clear, but what really happens first on the other end?
Well, here's the kicker. Before they dive into your amazing mission, before they even glance at your programs, they do something way more basic. They pop open a new tab in their web browser and go to one very specific government website. This is the first hurdle, and honestly, a lot of nonprofits don't even realize it's there.
And that brings us to the gatekeeper of nonprofit funding, the IRS Tax-Exempt Organization Search. But, in the real world, everybody just calls it TEOS.
So here's the most important thing to get about TEOS. It's the official, single source of truth for your nonprofit's federal status. It doesn't matter what your website says. It doesn't matter what that determination letter you got 5 years ago says. All that matters is what this live database says about you right now. When a funder searches your organization, this is pretty much what pops up on their screen. In just a few seconds, they get this complete snapshot of who you are legally. They see your legal name, your employer ID number, your official status, the whole thing. This simple little table is their first pass or fail test.
And you better believe they're checking every line. Does the legal name EIN on here match what's on the application? Is your status a 501c3, which is what almost every foundation requires? And this is a big one. Does it say, plain as day, that contributions are deductible? If the answer to any of these is no, or if there's a mismatch, your application is probably already headed for the no pile.
Okay, so why are they so obsessed with this one database? I mean, you said you were a 501c3 in your proposal, right? Why don't they just take your word for it?
Well, it really just boils down to due diligence and managing their own risk. They have to independently verify your status. It protects them from fraud and, frankly, from simple, honest mistakes. Their own internal rules and often IRS regulations demand that they have proof of your eligibility. And a printout from the TEOS database, that's the proof. It's just a non-negotiable step in their workflow. So let's get to the scary part. What happens when a funder does this search and finds a problem? And, more importantly, what can you do about it? I mean, look at this. It's like night and day. On the one hand, you have a clean, active listing, you're good to go, you're eligible. On the other side, you have those two dreaded words, automatically revoked. For a funder, that's a complete dead end. There is no gray area here. It means you are not, at this moment, a tax-exempt charity, and your application is getting rejected, period.
And what causes this absolute disaster of a status? Well, the most common reason is shockingly simple. It's an administrative mistake. Not filing your required annual tax form, the Form 990, for 3 years in a row. It doesn't matter if you have zero revenue. If you fail to file, the IRS just automatically revokes your status. And it shows up right here for every single potential funder.
Now, the good news is that a revoked status can usually be fixed. The bad news? The process is a total pain. You have to go back and file all those old forms. Then you have to submit a whole new application for reinstatement, which is basically like starting all over again. And then you have to wait and wait for months for the IRS to approve it. So trust me on this one. Prevention by just filing on time every year is so much better than this cure. Oh, and here's another critical thing that trips people up. TEOS only tells the story of your federal status with the IRS. Funders are also going to check your compliance at the state level, and it gets complicated. Like, if we take California, for example, a funder has to check with 3 different state agencies just to make sure you're in good standing and actually allowed to fundraise. So a clean TEOS listing is absolutely necessary, but it's not enough on its own. You've got to be compliant everywhere. Okay, that was a lot, I know, but we've covered why this is so critical. So now, let's turn all this into a really simple, powerful action plan that you can use, like right after this explainer is done. Seriously, don't wait until you're about to submit a huge grant proposal. Go to the TEOS website today. Run through this exact checklist. Search for your organization. Check every single line. Make sure it's all perfect. And then, here's the key. Set a recurring reminder in your calendar to do this simple check every 3 months. It's a 5-minute task that can save you from a world of hurt and lost funding. When you get right down to it, before a funder ever reads your compelling narrative or looks at your amazing budget, your public data is telling the first chapter of your story. The TEOS database is your first impression. So you have to ask yourself, is it a great one